Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Volpe Creates Show. I am your host, Chris Volpe. This is the weekly talk show where we talk about video games, game development, and the games industry. I am joined, as always, by a baby girl, Burp, who's actually, I think, upset because she was taking a nap. And, of course, intern Lucas. How are you doing, man?
I am doing great. How about y'all?
Good. So you are on the verge of finishing your degree, right?
Yeah, I'm almost finished up. I just took my final exam last night, which went okay, but I am ready to move on from college and actually get out in the world. So,
Become a big boy.
heck yeah.
And you just finished one of your certifications the other week too.
Yeah, I did. So, through my studies, I am getting certified in Pro Tools, which is an audio editing software, and I am now a Pro Tools music operator. So, it's a pretty big deal.
A Pro Tools auteur. Awesome. And then, of course, we have a special guest every week. So Katie is joining us, a artist extraordinaire and a fellow partner at Multivarious for the past, I don't know, 300 years or so. How's it going, Katie?
And I just realized that I was also on video on stream, so oops. Thought you were gonna
Oh,
introduce first, and I'm over here like whipping my hair around and getting pops, and we're doing great. We're doing great.
we're doing. It's a day. It's a day.
It's a time.
We got a nice plant back there too. I like it.
Oh, I got so many plants. Here.
That seems to be the thing these days on a lot of streams. Is just
You don't understand.
yeah, you do.
We got-
Wow, that's
You
a
do.
lot.
So the one in the back, that's just a decoy. It just
That's one
distracts
of
you.
many.
Awesome. So Katie, welcome. Thanks for being here. I guess we've worked together for many years, so we've said many words to each other. But for the interwebs audience, who are you? What do you do? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Um, I am, I guess, an illustrator based in Ohio. I have worked for MVG for literally since I graduated college. That's been a while. Um, illustrate children's books. I stream. I do Patreon. I have kind of do anything and everything, honestly. But I just draw a lot.
Yeah, I was just saying
What about you?
all those things you do. I shouldn't say all, but almost all. They're all based around art and
Yeah.
visual design and whatnot. So why why art? Why have you've dove like head into the art world? I think you were truly an artist. So why art?
Um, Oftentimes I mean, it's always just something I've done. And sometimes I've wondered if I ended up doing art just because, when you tell little kids, "Oh, you're good at something," they just kind of keep doing it. So I was always like the art kid, so I just never really stopped doing art.
I
Um,
mean, you must like it though, right?
yeah, I mean, I've liked it ever since I was little. I mean, my mom said she could literally just give me a bunch of crayons and paper to entertain myself. I've literally been drawing since before I could walk. I mean, it's there. I think it's something to keep my hands busy too, and I like being able to draw stuff I see in my head and like let people see what I see in my head. That's cool to me.
To be able to translate that almost like a language.
Yeah. Cool.
You mentioned keeping your hands busy. Is that like nervous energy? You've got to put it somewhere, or
I think so. We're gonna file that under questionably undiagnosed ADD.
you'll figure it out over the next 50 years of your life. You'll get to an
Yeah,
answer.
yeah,
Um, I know because I guess everyone at MVG we all teach now as well. So you've adopted teaching both sort of at the collegiate level, but you mentioned Patreon as well as you do streaming and stuff. Almost all
yeah,
of that's based on some semblance of teaching, right?
yeah.
Drawing and educating.
I like teaching a lot, honestly. I think it's fun. Um, I don't know. I just like answering people. I think it's easier to teach when it's less like follow a set thing and just spew words. I like more answering specific questions, I guess, which is why I do a lot of teaching in like streams. I like teaching during streams because then people's are like actively there engaging back and forth with you. And I think it's fun to be able to help people grow in their own journeys. I mean, especially artistic, but I mean, we've even had questions on like finances and like how do we taxes and like just random life stuff like that. I don't know. I just think it's fun, especially because like when I was growing up, there wasn't really any of that. Like trying to find resources to grow as a digital artist growing up was really difficult. They didn't really exist. So I want to be
Yeah,
that.
you want to be that. Yeah, I feel you. I mean, so I my thing wasn't. I mean, actually wasn't art. Art's my background. Art and computers were always my thing, and yeah, outside of like a couple, I don't know, extracurricular classes or whatever, I just learned all the shit on my own. And
Yeah.
I was at the beginning of the internet, so even the internet, uh, it was rough. There was no Twitch, there was no YouTube where you could like look up how to
Mm-mm.
do something. You would use your dial-up modem, and hopefully you found someone who knew roughly what they were talking about.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so did you do a lot of education, or is this just pretty much all you?
Um, you mean for like
For like you're developing
official?
your skill sets and stuff. Obviously, you went to college and you have a degree and whatnot, but I
Ironically, I
get the
would consider
impression.
college probably the least amount of help.
That's what I was gonna say. Is I would assume that even if you had not gone to college, you probably would have continued to develop your skill set.
Yeah, college was great for networking, honestly. Like, it's where I met my friend JJ, who you know, but they don't. Another good friend at art. It's technically how I got connected with you guys, like with MVG and everything, because of the GDEX event that happened there. So, like, college was great for kind of giving me a time period to focus on my own art and network, but they really didn't understand what they were doing either. Um,
In what way?
it was a gallery art school, honestly, as much as it oh god, I could do a whole rant on I think OSU's better now. Because I went to OSU and I went to their art tech program thinking it was going to teach me I actually wanted to go into 3D modeling. Um, and I thought that's what it would be. It was not. Not even a little bit. It was kind of more just gallery art and how to be an artist by not being an artist.
Yeah, all of
Like
those, because I was in photography, and all those in OC, they fall under the fine art department, which is literally
yeah,
what you would think of like an artist
it was a hot
creating
mess.
stuff for a
It was a
gallery.
hot mess.
I
Like
enjoyed
I
it. I
remember
get it's kind
one
of shows.
kid well, the parts I enjoyed are like they were fun, but they're not gonna help me. Like I took calligraphy, I took
I
glass
was gonna ask if
blowing,
you took the
I did
hologram class.
it was so much fun, but I was like,
Yeah,
how's this gonna help me? I'm gonna
yeah.
go
I
make a hologram.
one of my regrets is that I never took the holography class. Like I would walk because it was all in Haskett Hall, and I would walk into that room. I had friends that were doing it, also printmaking, and
It
I
was
just
cool.
never took it.
I
Do you
mean, it
still
was
have some of your holograms?
buried somewhere, honestly. I mean, I still kept them because I mean, that's cool, but
Yeah.
I think ACAD has actually taken over art tech now. So I think their art tech now is actually probably way more useful. But as for how I learned, I just a lot of it was I mean, anyone who says like they're completely self-taught, I feel like that's kind of misleading because like no one sits in a void and teaches themselves. Like you're still absorbing knowledge from somewhere. Whether that be YouTube or whatever. I guess you're self-taught. It's just not someone sitting there teaching you. Anyway, I learned a lot through just trying to imitate images. When I was really young, I would take not the how to draw manga books because those were kind of a hot mess. There was a specific set of art illustration books called like the art of manga or something, and it was just illustrations, and I would copy them. Um, and just try to get as close as I could in seeing like how they drew details and what colors they were picking and stuff like that. And I did that for a long time. And then by the time I was in college, it became more less I want to copy things and more like how to start creating my own stuff. And that was like Naruto fandom time. So a lot of Naruto fan art. It's all good.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember I had a ton of those like art books when I was growing up. Like how to draw manga and anime was one of them. Even though I was never the biggest anime fan, I just liked trying to
Well,
figure it
they're
out.
one of the few art books. I mean, even though they were some of them were kind of a hot mess, there wasn't really a lot of how to draw art books out in
Yeah.
general.
And I had one I don't remember what it was called, but it was like, how to draw like Yoshitaka Amano, the Final Fantasy guy.
Mm,
And it was like how to do sort of watercolors, and I'm terrible at watercolors, so it never worked out. But I always liked trying to see if I could do that, but watercolor was not my thing.
yeah. Final Fantasy had a really cool style. Cool. That's all I
Somebody,
got.
someone over there. Um, yeah, I hear what you're saying about the OSU program, and part of it I kind of liked that it really was just honing on the creativity and the craft part of it, but not really a focus on any of the like job components or like making a living at it, which is sort of problematic if
They
you want to.
actively scoffed at kids who wanted to go work for companies in my classes. One kid
Yeah.
mentioned he wanted to work for Pixar, and they told him that would be failing as an artist and selling out to the man. And
Oh wow.
when I took my resume to the resume department to like get it critiqued, they're like, "You're the first person from your art tech who's come to ask us for help. We just assumed they did it for you guys." And we're like, "No."
No, it's probably because they never mentioned it. You know, I don't think anyone in the department knew it existed.
Yeah.
Uh,
So,
yeah, no, that's OSU. Good times, good times. Um, so now you're teaching. I guess you're trying to fill that gap that you didn't get.
yeah, and just anything and everything. It's
Well, your
it's fun.
focus is mostly digital art, right? Do you do any
Oh yeah.
fine, like physical fine art stuff anymore?
Um, I've actually recently gotten back into painting. I did traditional landscape paintings for Christmas presents this year, actually,
Oh, that's
messing
cool.
with gouache, and I really like watercolor, actually. Watercolor is probably one of my favorite paintings. I'd
Really?
like to get back into big scale oil paintings, but I feel like it's just one more thing that I'd have to find space for. Especially because with oil painting, you have to keep pets out of it. So
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
problem in this house. I've got two new guinea pigs too. So
Um, have you ever done like a gallery show before of your work?
not
You should
really.
you should do one sometime.
I
It's
don't know where I had to go.
oh, I
I'd actually, it's crossed my mind. Like, I guess even if it was digital, I could like print them off and have a gallery somewhere.
oh yeah, you could absolutely do it digitally if you wanted, if you did it physical. I mean, I know plenty of gallery folks that could do a weekend show or a month show. But it's fun. I've probably done, I don't know, 30 plus shows in
That'd
my
be
my
cool.
years, and yeah, it's
I
just
never
neat.
have ever. Huh. Well, maybe I'll talk offline with you about that.
Yeah, not that you
Maybe
don't have enough to do already, but it's
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 something
just
I
an
haven't
interest.
done.
Yeah, it's
So,
just a fun experience. So you mentioned you like conversing with your audience. Is that like while you're doing work, or while you're making things, you're talking to them, and are they responding to what you're doing, or is it just kind of all over the place?
oh, it's both. But that's what's fun. Um, for a long time, I streamed while I drew just because I think I was lonely. It's a little different now because I've got, lot more people in my life than I used to, back. But it was nice having people to talk to while I draw. And even now still, even though I've got, a whole network of awesome people just to chill with, it's still really fun to create and work, but also be in an environment with other people who are either creatives themselves or just appreciate that process. And people could be talking about, anything from how their day went to a lot of times I'll ask for input while I'm drawing, like, I can't decide which of these I like better. And it's kind of nice to have, that many more eyes looking at it. And sometimes, the environment of it's easier to work when you're in a room of people working. It's kind of the same thing with streaming. At least for me, it's easier for me to work if I know other people are all chilling, working on their own stuff. A lot of people do schoolwork while I stream. So,
Oh yeah. So yeah, it's like a
yeah.
little study hall kind of.
Yeah,
That's
basically
cool.
so.
Well, let's jump to streaming just for a second because you've been doing that for a long time now, right? Over a
7
decade?
years?
7, 8 days? Okay.
7, 8 days, yes.
Years.
Streaming for about 7 days.
But
Um,
it's been a good 7 days though.
solid 7. Um, I think it's been 7 or 8. Um, yeah, I want to say I think it's been 7 years on Twitch, probably 8 years in total.
'Cause you were like one of the early Twitchers. You became a partner kind of before being a partner was like the biggest thing, or
I became a partner through their creative program, which doesn't even exist anymore.
oh yeah.
So, yeah, that just was kind of cool. 'Cause yeah, I was pretty big on Picardo before that. And I think they let me into their partner program on Twitch because I kind of came with a following from other places. And they were like, cool. But yeah, I was mainly after Twitch because it let you have bots in the chat though, if I'm being honest. Because like a lot of other streaming sites don't let you mod Twitch in the chats as much. And it was really almost necessary to have bots kind of take over some things like questions and commands and stuff. So that was the biggest reason why Twitch. But
So you wouldn't get like distracted and whatnot. Spend all
yeah,
that time.
yeah, or at least a little less distracted on mundane things like, you know, what song is that? When the song bot doesn't break, it can shoot out its own songs now. People wondering how long the stream's been going, people asking like what tools I use, stuff like that. I can now have a
Mm.
bunch of commands that mods can toss out. And I think, especially if you're going to be a creative streamer, um, you get a lot of the same questions, but it's usually new people asking the question. So it's not like it becomes any less important to answer. It's just the more you can streamline those, the easier it is to kind of focus on more unique, like teaching things or stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I gotcha. So just for people who are curious, what bot or bots do you use right now? Do you recommend? Do you remember?
Um, God, the big ones are like Moobot and Nightbot, I think. I don't know. I set them up so long ago. I don't even know which ones are predominantly running anymore. I probably need to go back in and do an overhaul of bots. I think Moobot is the big one that I use still, but Streamlabs itself is a pretty solid streaming source. I don't know. Do you use Streamlabs
We're using
OBS?
OBS right now, but we've
Is it the
used
Streamlabs OBS or
no, it's just the free
cool?
open source one.
Well, OBS is
But
good. I use
we did
Streamlabs
use
OBS, which is like those two combined, and then
yeah.
you can get a lot of cool things.
I'm trying to think what I think we used. Cody would know. I think we used Streamlabs OBS for when we did GDEX
Yeah,
TV.
yeah.
Um, yeah, that's the one we used. Um, but now for this, I'm just testing stuff out. So I went the cheapest, easiest route I could. But I think we're gonna. I think we're. I don't know. Lucas can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we're on a trajectory that maybe we could actually up the production value a little bit here. I mean, hell, I'm still in my room. We're all, back when we were at the office and we were trying to set up the podcasting streaming room, like that would have been really cool. And then
Yeah,
COVID hit. And now
yeah.
we don't have that anymore. Um, but so now you're I know for a while you were streaming a ton and like it almost killed you, and then you took a break, and now you're back. What are you doing? Like 1 or 2 days a week, a couple days a week, or are you
Oh
back to?
God.
But I
My
guess
goal is 2 days a week now because like before it was like almost nonstop and it I think it honestly burnt me out at a point where I was just tired and unfortunately the burning out has almost led to like an elimination of it and I was like, "Ooh." So I don't want to do that. Um so I think going for like 2 days a week now, which is what I used to do like way back. It was just, Wednesday, Fridays, and then that gives me kind of middays to focus on work and other stuff. Kind of off putting that with some Patreon only streams too. Um, I mean, in a perfect world, I would just stream like it was my job, like literally just stream, 5 days a week. But I don't think I want to do that. Like that seems exhausting. So
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. I feel like it because you don't do really any. I mean, you did for a while, like you did Overwatch stuff. Do you do any game streaming anymore?
We've done some Minecraft streams. People seem to like. I'll just build houses and stuff in Minecraft. So more creative Minecraft streams. We have a server that I need to update, so sometimes we all get together and play Minecraft. Overwatch just makes me so angry. So I don't know if it's a great thing to stream. I don't know if people really want to tune in and watch me just rage at idiots.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I played Overwatch for maybe 3 or 4 weeks, and after that, I was like, okay, I
I
think I'll
still
make it a good
play.
place.
Just I'm still real salty about it. So,
You're still playing?
oh yeah,
What
I
what
like
what's who's your character?
I'm a Moira main. I'm a merciless Moira main. It's
Okay,
great.
it's
She's
great. I
uh,
did. I'm totally blanking on because it's been so long since I played the. Was it Reinhard, the big tank guy?
yeah. I'm like as long
Yeah.
as you don't say Doomfist, we can still be friends. So
No, is he not well regarded as a character? I'm
I
so
think
out of the metas and stuff.
Doomfist, in my opinion, is marks the point of which the game completely went downhill. Like Doomfist single-handedly broke Overwatch
Really? Why?
because he's just ridiculous. No character should be able to one-shot kill any other character from across the map.
Okay.
Like a Doomfist in good hands is it's almost cheating. It's just stupid. And it's a rant. That is a rant
Uh,
we're gonna
We
pack
can.
away in a little box.
Okay. I mean, we can open that box if you want. We're allowed to rant on this show.
Oh, it's a big box.
It's a big box. All right. Well,
So good.
we
I
can
don't know
keep
if
it on the
I'm
shelf.
well knowledgeable to really get into it, but I could say like Orisa added a second shield, which pushed the meta towards just shield burst down. That was probably the very first mark of uh-oh, what is this game becoming? It's not becoming a shooter. Then they added a whole bunch of other I mean, technically even Moira is one of the BS characters that they added that people aren't super thrilled with because she doesn't have a lot of aiming, but like she's still easy to kill.
Yeah,
Doomfist is just this unstoppable fisting machine, and you don't want to deal with that. Anyway,
that's a quote. Yeah. Um. Yeah. I liked. Do you want to get down, sweet pea? There you go. I liked Reinhardt because I could just shoot off in a direction, grab people, and then throw them off the ledge. And that kind of
uh,
just became my thing.
it
I would either
works.
throw them into a wall or throw them off the ledge. And it seemed like, I mean, when I first started playing, I didn't know anything about anything, and it just seemed like nobody was ever a tank, and so I could just get into
People still
the,
aren't tanks.
really, I could just get
Oh
into
yeah,
the matches. Like if I tried to do a DPS, it could take 10 plus minutes to get into a match. If I chose him, it would take like 30 seconds to a minute. So
yeah,
I was like, all right, this works. I don't want to sit around on a game I'm not super, that into at the start anyway. So
yeah.
that's how I got into that guy. But um, that's fine. Are you playing anything else lately?
AFK. Uh,
Are
Um,
we gonna try to get our plug for?
are we calling our plug? AFK Arena, please sponsor me because I play your game a lot. Honestly, it's AFK Arena, Minecraft, Overwatch, and lately Sims 4. Building a lot of houses in Sims 4. And I realized it's all just building. I play Genshin to work on my house. I play Minecraft to build houses. And I play, Sims to build houses. And it's just chill.
Should you have been an architect?
Almost went for architect, but then I knew someone who was an architect that said it was really hard to get a job, and I was like, "Oh," so I didn't.
That that was
But
my first degree I was going towards was architecture at Kent State before I went to fine arts photography.
I still think it'd be fun to be an architect and like design stuff, but I just don't think it's a career choice, especially now, that would be worth the effort to go into that. But I'll still build houses in Sims and enjoy that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, you've created uh, almost crafted, Minecrafted, if you will, a sort of slot for yourself career wise. I mean, besides the video gaming multivarious side, you've got the online teaching, which of course is associated with Patreon and Twitch and all of that stuff. So you've been carving like a channel for your own career, right?
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because I mean, if you'd have asked me, even going into college, like, what do you think you're gonna do? Like, what's your goal? Everything I do now was not on that radar. Like, honestly, I thought I would have ended up in like web design or something. I was expecting to graduate college and still not really know what I was doing and try to just end up in like graphic creation for some random company somewhere. And it's only kind of a fluke, I guess. I mean, things just kind of happen, and then just kind of follow them as they happen. Like the children's books I illustrate for was through a random connection I made in college. And that's still going on. I mean, that was just kind of random, or having people start to notice the fan art that I had spent so long just having fun working on. I never actually considered that to be any source of income or popularity. And then suddenly people were like asking for commissions and stuff. I'm like, oh. And then,
I saw your recent mushroom lady post.
yeah,
That one's pretty awesome.
thank you.
I
I
think
really like
I think that's
working
one
on
of my
that one.
favorite pieces you've done in a while. That's really
Thank
awesome.
you. That was definitely more self-indulgent, like not fandom related or anything. I was pleased to see that actually do pretty well on Twitter because, again, sometimes it can be difficult getting out of fandom stuff because it's easy to draw attention and people aren't always as into original stuff, so that's kind of a weird line to walk. But I'm at the point now where I feel like I've been, I don't know. I don't know. I'm in a weird spot with art now. Kind of a mix of pandemic, depression, honestly, and just having done nothing but art for so long. It's like, even though you love it, it's still just exhausting. So we're
Sure.
working through that now.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, yeah. I mean, anything that idea of like if you find something you love, you'll never work a day in your life is bullshit. Like
it is.
work,
It's bullshit.
life is work. Like just doing things is work. I love the multivarious. I love GDEX. I love I haven't done a lot of photography because I did a ton of it for years and years and years. I did constant. There was a period of time where I was doing a gallery show every 3 months, and like you have to
Oh,
prep a new
wow.
series of work and then get it printed and hung, and like it just it's a lot. And
Wow.
so even if you love it, it's still tiring. Plus, it becomes routine after a while, right? Where you just keep
Yeah.
doing the same thing.
I
You
think
need
that's the
mental.
biggest thing is it just becomes really repetitive and then it's like, I don't know. Also for me, I think some huge changes have just been happening that it's made it kind of weird. Like pandemic hit and we moved. We've got like there's just other things in my life now that are all pulling my attention in 100 ways. And I don't know, I do miss I think back like 10 years ago when I was in like fresh in college, I was literally that was when I started streaming and I could do nothing but draw for like 18 hours a day, and that blows my mind now. I still had a thyroid then. So that was super sane, Katie, but I miss that.
Yeah, yeah. I think back of when I used to be at the photo lab for like till 4 in the morning or something, making stuff, and I just like the idea of staying up past like midnight right now to work on things. I'm like, oh, I can't do it. I can't do it.
Too much.
Well, what I guess what else is how do I phrase it? Is there something that has caught your interest that you're like veering towards that's not necessarily in the art space, or maybe in a different kind of art space, or you still just navigating it, figuring it out?
I don't really know. Honestly, I've just that's weird. All I really do is want to like work on the house stuff and play video games, which sounds horrible. But like when I think of like what needs to be done, I'm thinking like, oh, I like working with my hands, I've noticed.
Mm-hmm.
I like I fixed our shower and briefly thought, "Oh my God, plumbing's awesome. Like I can rip things apart." I just cut a hole in our kitchen ceiling to reach the shower for no reason. My dad's like, "You should hire a plumber." And I was like, "Nah, man. I've already cut the hole in the ceiling." He's like, "You what?" And I'm like it's there. I'm pulling apart this pipe. I want to like go out and tear up all the brick on our patio. I want to like try to finish the basement. Like I feel like there's just a lot of now that I have a house that I can do stuff too. I feel like a odd portion of my brain that I was not expecting to go towards home improvement has veered towards how much stuff can I do without anyone else's help to my house.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome. That yeah, that
maybe I'm gonna go become a plumber. Who knows?
or not everything has to be a career, right? Like you're allowed to enjoy learning and doing stuff, and just for the sake of enjoying it and learning it, and
That's kind of where
maybe
we're at now.
and I think cultivating your environment is also a different kind of meaning and pleasure, because it's something that like your house is your house, right? And
Yeah,
what you do to it and what you turn it into is something that you can be proud of, and it's like a little bubble in the universe that you can craft the
and
way
fill
that
with
you want
plants.
and fill with plants. Yeah.
So
I
many
mean, is that what
plants.
you're gonna do? Like that a hole in the ceiling now? You just stick a plant in there?
I would if I that might be too much of a project for a house that is technically a condo that I plan on selling at some point. I don't know if future people will appreciate a giant hole in the living room full of plants.
You
But
never know. There's a lot of plant people out there these days. I had a call before this with somebody. We spent a couple minutes talking about plants, so you never know. Uh, yeah, I think just jumping back to what you're talking about. I think the pandemic and just general life stress has burned a lot of people out on a lot of things. So
yeah,
I don't think you're alone in. I know you're not alone. Even like last week, so we're working on this project. I can't say what it is because it's NDA, but I think you know about it. But we are putting in this proposal for a game to work on some expansion stuff and DLC stuff. And like the thing I had to do was play this video game. Like that was my responsibility, my job. And it just seemed like, oh man, it's gonna be a lot of work to like start this new game up and play. Like the only thing I have to do is play a video game for like 20 hours, right? So that I can understand the game and be able to like make a proposal for an
I think.
expansion. And even that was like exhausting.
Well, Argenbarker's now following. Thanks, Tom. I saw the alert on notification.
Is Tom just
Um,
now a follower?
I
Tom.
followed this morning, to be fair. But well, because that's a whole other story. I haven't been on Twitch logged in because after I got hacked, I had to sign out of everything and
Oh yeah, you had the great hackening
oh,
last month.
but yeah, Matson had to play all those games getting onboarded too, but they like are styles of games that he doesn't normally play. So even though, the assignment is play games, he's just like, oh,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
dragging through it.
It's something that like I've internally noticed about myself where it's like I'm using it as a way of identifying that I am burnt out, because I even have like my game club, which is like my book club for games. And like I, it's, they're generally games that are like 8-ish hours. They're designed to be simple to play. I get to pick what the games are, and I still haven't finished one of those games in probably 6 months because it's just sitting down and playing a new game just seems so like the mental shift it would take me to do it
Well,
just
that's
seems
why I
so
play the same
exhausting.
like 4 games over and over again
Yeah.
because it's
Uh,
it's
And the thing
easy.
was, I started playing the game to get prepped for the proposal, and I actually was really enjoying it. I just had to like get over the hump of doing it. But I think everybody's kind of just feeling burnt out. Even if it's stuff they love, even if it's things they're attracted to or interested in, there's just so much stuff going on. And you mentioned, the reality is as you get older, more things fall on your shoulders, and you have to start prioritizing and deciding what's important.
Yeah.
Um, and the
I think
internet and in general, just it's just a suck. It's just an attention suck.
yeah. I think that I mean just getting older is a big thing too. I mean, to compare me to 10 years ago, I'm a decade older now. There's other things, there's other interests. It's just different and trying to make time and keep focus on things that, you know, I almost wonder it's like, I've enjoyed doing this so much for so long that I should still be doing that. And it's kind of accepting that, interest and priorities have changed and will change. And now it's kind of like, okay, we'll figure out how to balance things so everything's smooth, running smoothly again.
Yeah,
Um, and I think I'm getting there. I think
it's it's
we're getting
it's a
there.
process. It's a process. Just figuring life out is just an ongoing process, and you'll cycle back to stuff. There, you might, a year from now or something, you might get back to where you are doing work until 4 in the morning, and then somebody will be like, "Katie, you should probably sleep." And I'm like, "Yeah, I should
Oh,
probably do that."
well, I'm already doing weird
You're already
hours.
there. You're already there.
Problem is, I sleep just not at normal times. I like working at night. That's another big problem, is I am most focused and productive at night. So it's like, okay, well, when do I sleep? Like, well, during the day. It's like, well, that's not very productive. Like, you've got a whole world that needs your attention during the day too. It's just like,
Yeah, I think that's another trap where this idea of productivity, it's like that you can only be productive at certain times. Like, unless you're going to the bank, most of the time you got a couple hours to work with, you
yeah.
know? Where it's just like, wow, I didn't do anything this morning. It was like, yeah, but you were up till 3 working on stuff. Um, well, I'm sure you'll figure out whatever the next thing is, because you mentioned your children's book, your puppy books. That's going to start back up here again soon, which is
It
kind
is
of a
going to be in
fun.
a month.
That's kind of a
Oh,
fun story, though. You started that. You said, is this what year is this for you? 6 or 4? 6?
well, over 6 because they haven't been every year. It's been since college. My last year of college was the first book. Oh God, I don't know when I graduated.
What are the books called for
The
people that want
Lindy
to look up?
Lou, the Lindy Lou Adventure series, which they are on Amazon. But this will be book 6. Um, and they're becoming a little more streamlined. Obviously, at book 6, you'd hoped we were a little more streamlined. Um, but I mean, when we first started, it was their first time working with an illustrator and my first time being an illustrator for a book. So it's been a lot of learning back and forth on how to most effectively, communicate back and forth to make a book. Now it's pretty streamlined though. Like they'll send me the script of the book and they just highlight and red what they want pictures of so I can just read the book and get context and images and they say like we want a picture of this scene and then they'll give me descriptions of like visually like what the people or dogs or whatever look like and I will sort of en masse sketch as they go and then they critique sketches and then full color pass of everything and then they'll critique those and then they're done. After that I'll do the final push.
So, did you
But
think
it's
when you were a
still a
kid
process.
you would be a famous puppy book author?
No. Honestly, I'd always heard it was so hard to get into children's illustrations, but everybody wanted to do it. So it was
Really?
always something that I thought would be kind of cool to do, but never really like was trying to do it. Now that I've done it, though, I've also illustrated one other book now. Um, and she's got more stuff she wanted to do this year, so probably more stuff. Um,
I didn't realize the children's illustration that was such a kind of competitive space.
Apparently it is. I heard from someone at CCAD that a lot of people over at CCAD want to do children's book illustration specifically. Um, and it's a pretty competitive field.
Hmm.
So I kind of just I feel like my entire life history is just I just am in weird places at right times and it just kind of whoop.
Yeah,
So it works.
I feel that, but I think something I talk to my students. Actually, I talk to my students about you relatively frequently, because I think that um, not that you were intentionally trying to do this, but I think there's this tendency for people to undercut their contributions to like luck and this idea of being in the right place at the right time. Like timing is a huge part of success. It's a huge part of success, but you can sort of move that into your advantage by being engaged and active and participating in stuff. Like
Yeah.
these opportunities didn't just come to you, they came to you because you're constantly
Yeah.
out there improving your skill set. You mentioned networks, building a network. Like all of that stuff is the stuff that's going to help you, have those opportunities come to you so that when they do come, you can jump on them,
I
take
would agree
advantage of
with
them.
that. A lot of people are like, "Oh, it's luck." I guess in the sense that that specific thing happened could be luck, but it's not like something else wouldn't have happened
Yeah.
eventually later. It's like trying to explain to people like what networking is. I think networking intimidates a lot of people, and really you're just trying to be friends with as many people as you can. You don't really know what you're going to need them for, or if maybe you probably don't even have a plan. You just want to connect and get to know
Hmm.
people and share stuff. But on top of going to things and knowing people, you also need to make sure that your skill set, like what you have to bring to the table, is what's needed at the time. And I would say that's probably the secondary thing is people are like, "Oh, I don't know where to go." It's like maybe don't focus so much on specifically going for something, just build up your work. That way when opportunity is there, you're ready for it. Like what would have been worse if, someone was looking for an illustrator and my skill set was not ready to illustrate a book, then that wouldn't have worked.
Hmm.
So I just kind of hide in a hole and draw, and then, when things happen, if you're ready, then that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that like the building of the skill set. Um, so here's a weird story. So when I graduated from my grad school in public health, uh, before graduation, all of us went to this like celebratory luncheon or whatever, and the dean, the chair of the school, he came up and he's going to give like his, you did it graduation speech or whatever, and he's like, "You're all gonna die." And we're like, "Okay." He's like,
Yeah.
if you think about your life as like a pie, like a wheel, and like all the different parts are the ways that something's gonna kill you, and we're like, okay. And he's like, the goal is to just like get rid of as many of those as you can, but you can never stop dying. I was like, I don't. This is a good graduation speech, I guess. But the thing that always caught me is just like, yes, you're gonna die, right? Like, and like cancer, hit by a car, lightning bolt, whatever, smashed by a vending machine.
I watch a lot of murder documentaries. It's probably going to be someone you know, just so you know.
Yeah, it's always someone you know. It's
And it's
always the boy.
probably going to
It's
be
always
me.
the boyfriend. Yeah, it's gonna be you. All right, well, good thing we're doing this remotely. Um, but the thing is, you can that applies to like everything. So like getting a job or getting a relationship or whatever. You can't necessarily control the pie itself, but you control the sizes of each of the slices in the pie. So you can make things easier by building good relationships, like you said, in a network, or developing your skill set or whatever, and all those slices are going to help lead you. So if you're doing more positive things that build out the positive slices and less negative things, then that's how you'll eventually become successful. And you even just getting the Multivarious job, you got it because you came to an event and then you were active and engaged. Hell, intern Lucas, the only reason he's got an internship is because he wouldn't leave me alone. He kept sending me emails.
It's
So,
true.
it
That's
sometimes
the
things work.
spirit.
Yeah, we weren't, because of COVID, we weren't accepting interns just because we're all working remotely, and it's like kind of
Yeah.
weird to have an intern that, I mean, I've never met Lucas in real life. I've only seen his digital image.
The world
Um,
of tomorrow.
yeah. Um, but those things are important, and I think focusing on, I think people do, like you said, they get caught in like I'm going to go this direction and head here and get to this goal. It's good to have goals, like set long-term goals, but the direction and the path that you take to get to those goals is that's a lot harder to kind of pre-plan. And
And it'll
sometimes
be
you'll get
different.
halfway there, and your goal might change, your destination
Yeah.
might change.
It'll be different for everybody. I think that's one reason, one of the questions, I mean, the biggest question I feel like artists get is, how did you get to where you are? Because people want to follow that path. And the reality is, like, every single artist you ask has had a different path. I mean, it's insane. It's like I feel like almost one of the hardest things. I mean, other than the core of just you just got to draw. Like you just got to find a style or whatever you like and a ballpark of an idea of maybe where you want to go and then you just see what happens. Like the rest of it is so out of your hands. It's almost amazing. I mean, like, let me tell you how I got the puppy book. Okay, um, the ladies were wanting to make a video game, and their nephew was a coder, and they asked him, "Can you find people to help make a video game at which is no longer being made?" But they're like, "You're." He went to OSU, and they're like, "Can you find people to make a video game?" So he was in the Columbus, the programming Facebook group asking for an artist because that's where you ask for artists, the programming groups. One of my friends who was a programmer, saw that post in the group and sent it over to me and was like, dude, there's this kid in this programming group looking for an artist for a video game. I don't know why he's looking in there, but you should get in contact with him. So I did, met him a grand total of once, and then the game fell apart and that never really went anywhere. But then a couple months later, they needed a new illustrator because they had an illustrator and they weren't happy with the work. They were having a hard time working with her, and they asked him, they're like, "Do you know any artists?" And he's like, "You literally just we just met one for the game." They're like, "Oh, well, could she draw books too?" He's like, "Probably. I don't know. Ask her." So, and that was that. That's how they got connected with me, and we had a phone call, and it was like they'd never seen an artist before. They were like, "Oh, you can draw this." I'm like, "Yeah, that I
were, they,
do."
were they trying to like poke you with a stick and like smell you and like,
Yeah, you draw for like
yeah,
books. I was like, I don't, well, only one way to
I
find
don't
out,
know.
ladies.
Yeah,
Um, but like that's so random. Just if my friend hadn't have seen that post, we never would have met ever.
yeah.
Like, and it can be that
That's the
weird.
important. That's when people talk about networks. When I say the importance of networks, I don't mean in this like businessy, like what can you do for me kind of way. It's just cultivate friendships with people who know you and they know what
Yeah.
you're capable of doing. And then all of a sudden you've got like a little arm of recruiters out there that when something comes by them, they think about you.
Yeah. And for a lot of, I mean, people I'm usually teaching are in like college or high school, even or so. And it's like, especially in college, I feel like a lot of the weird but good connections I've made were in college. Like, obviously, you keep getting them, but like I made a little Discord group for all of the students I have at CSCC, and they'd never have to leave. I just keep amassing them, and I'm just like,
Yeah,
one
I have the
day,
same.
a decade later, you never know when having these connections is going to help you. So,
Yep, I do the same. I particularly now that it's remote,
yeah,
collect everybody into my Discord group, and I love it when like because I say this, I'm like a bro, like I'm here, and I say the same thing all the time. But like when I see it click in a student's mind, they're like, "Oh, I can talk to these people and use them to help me and things." I was like, "Yes!" Like you can use them to help you with interviews or to whatever, put the word out or look at your portfolio and give you feedback. That's something that
Yeah.
you do every year at GDEX. You're part of the art portfolio review, where we do. It's like speed dating for artists, and I don't know how many. I mean, how many artist students do you think we've helped over the past 10 years with that?
At
It's
least 2.
at least 2. Okay, well that's a plus, I guess. But yeah, all those things are important. Well, we're getting tight on time here, so is there any last things you want to talk about? Anything you want people to know about that you're up to?
Oh,
Any ways to get in contact with you or reach
don't.
you? Don't.
Oh, see, you
Leave
can
me
send an
alone.
email and it'll be sorted into piles that I try to answer within 2 months. I'm a horrible example of a working artist. Here we go. Um,
Well, you've got your Ellen Torrey's your tag, your alias.
yeah, honestly, the best way to reach me is still probably the Ellen Torrey at Gmail. Some people send me like Instagram messages and stuff, and they'll email me being like, "I sent you an Instagram message and you didn't reply," and I was like, "You know how many Instagram messages I get daily? Like, I don't even check my Instagram messages anymore. That's
Yeah.
insane." Um,
I hardly get any Instagram messages, and I still don't check them.
I get like 150 plus a day.
Yeah.
It's just not to be like, oh, ha, 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 but I mean, like, at some
Oh.
point, when you reach a certain point, followers, and half the messages are just like, how do I draw? And I'm like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Good luck. Um,
Good luck. Do you put? I don't know. I should know this. Do you put any of your stuff on YouTube? Like,
I've
or do you just let
got
it
a
all sit?
YouTube. That's how I got hacked. I have speed paints on YouTube and like product reviews. I kind of need to revamp my YouTube. It's easily the least planned out of all of my socials. The biggest thing YouTube I use now for is to host a huge backlog of unlisted videos for my classes and my Patreons and stuff. Um, I need to probably make a separate channel for that kind of stuff and take my YouTube, start publishing more things on it. Um, it's just one more thing on the to-do list.
I
But
hear you. All right. Well, I think this is a good place to stop. Katie, thank you so much for being on the show. I enjoyed chatting with you. Hopefully, it wasn't too exhausting.
no, we're good. Thanks for having me.
um, of course, you can watch us at the Volpe Creates show every week, Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time at the twitch.tv/Volpe Creates. Also, oh, is that your dogger? Your dogger is at Matson over there on the corner.
And that's Matson. You want to wave to the Christian. It's
Hey,
just your hand. That's all.
nice. Get back to work. Um,
He told you to get back to work. He just wants lunch.
uh, also, I got stuff on YouTube. So youtube.com/Volpe Creates. I post all these things on here. But on behalf of Baby, who's taking a nap, intern Lucas, and myself, Chris Volpe, thank you all for being a part of it. And I will see you next week.
Thanks, everyone.